it makes my experience more fulfilling. Every time I learn about a new step or a new process or something challenging that I couldn't figure out how to get through. And then somebody says something and you go, wow, that's so easy. And it's always easy. It's amazing how it's always easy. And it's something where, but it's only easy because somebody is willing to share that and willing to give you the communication. And then that allows you to to progress at pace instead of instead of getting lost for what could be years at a time. We've been involved in the process for so long, and
Right.
if somebody else can hear what we've been through and can relate to it, then hopefully they can find the same sort of inspiration to sort of say, okay, they are good enough and they can do what we're doing. Um, with just a little bit of a mindset change to start with. It was the clarity because I had a 3 day sort of period where I felt complete clarity. I knew at that point um, that I wasn't born and that I would never die, and it was that release of that I would say fear that made me realize that I needed to go forward, and so. Um, but it was also the confusion that came with that. There was a lot of confusion that came with that, in the sense that once the clarity subsided, and I suppose I'm picking my words carefully, but once it subsided, it became something that I wanted to achieve again or wanted to attain again, and and that was the reason for joining. Elation, frustration, possibly. Um, I would say a wanting to understand. Felt like I needed to attain it, and it was that releasing of that feeling of wanting to attain that all of a sudden you feel like you can embrace it, and so there's a calmness about that. There's a feeling of integration as soon as you let go. Stability, stability in a word, and companionship. I would say that within the academy, because you do have conversations, um, it felt like when you were listening to somebody else going through a process, it may not have been where you were at that time, but it gave you an understanding of the steps that you may be going into, and so you become more prepared, and so it's and easier to get through those stages because you have an understanding of them. Um, and because there is so much that's out there, and so it's that feeling of that opening up that that gives you the release and then the comfort to know that it's here, it's with you. It's not something that you need to find somewhere. It's inside you, and all you need to do it is just quiet yourself, just be yourself, just be with yourself. I would have to say the simplicity of of being. Um, I think that was the biggest change for me personally, was that even when, because we've been through this journey together for a while, and to be is is the simplest thing in the world. To retain being is comes with practice. It's the understanding, and then the application, and then the belief, and then the trust that all of these things are happening, and that the more you embrace them and the more you feel aligned with them, the easier it is for you to recognize um, how being is part of you and part of your everyday life. Um, I think for me that's the biggest. Yes, yes. I think maybe the most important part of that is for me is that there isn't an end goal. There's no end. There's no finish line. It's an ongoing process, and that you are embody the process and you live with the process. And by doing that, you are um, you are doing all you need to do. There is no special thing that you need to do. You just need to be. Everything around you becomes part of that. I think um, when you realize your oneness with everything around you, you find the appreciation of it, and you see the world around you with different eyes. And for me personally, that's been tremendous. I know that gratitude is something that people practice, but when you embody that and it feels like something that you just gratitude, you feel really grateful for being here and being you and being in this opportunity. And so everything around
Indeed.
you just feels better. Yes, you see the details in things. I think that would be my experience. Yes, I think that's evident when you look at your daily life and you look at the amounts of times you get triggered by certain things or the emotions that come up during the course of a day. Um, as you become more present, you find that those emotions are easier to identify and and easier to bring into yourself, to love, to acknowledge. And for me personally, it's that part of the journey is the knowing and the understanding that these things that come up for us, emotions and triggers, are opportunities, and that they are there for us um, to test ourselves in a way. But I will say that over time they become they become almost funny. They become things that you recognize instantly instead of the difficulty that you find at the first when these things first come up, because you second guess yourself and you think that you shouldn't be feeling in a specific way, or that you shouldn't be acting in a specific way. And I think when you start embodying yourself and loving yourself more, you start realizing that you're doing the right thing, and that these triggers and things are just there. They part of what we go through, and it's nice to have the tools to be able to see them, to feel them, and to integrate them. I think for me, those are some of the biggest things that I've learned while being in the academy, is how to do that, which I would say is inevitable. That's something invaluable. Sorry, not inevitable, but that's something for me that I would say anybody thinking about joining the academy, those are the things that you get taught. Those are the things that we talk about. Those are the things that we repetitively talk about. So but there's an understanding. There's an understanding of where you're going and what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that you're with like-minded people. Funnily enough, I would say the quiet times when we can be quiet with each other and feel really comfortable with each other. It's nice. Um it's more than nice. I find it really soothing, being able to meditate with people that I feel um have undertaken the same process, the same uh, journey, and so I feel at one with the people in the group, and it's a lovely feeling because when you're meditating together, it's like your own power becomes expanded. The love you feel for things feels expanded. For me personally, learning from other people in conversation, of course, that's beneficial, but it's the feeling of oneness that I have with the group. The academy specifically is the learning process, is the guidance, is the are the stories, are the anecdotes, are the corrections. This is a very easy thing to get to and a very complex thing to navigate. And so I would say that the navigation of it is uh, having somebody to guide you, or somebody that can give you some kind of clarity on things that could stick with you for a long time, is excellent, is the best thing that can happen, because every time that you get clarity and that something falls for you in the way that it makes sense, and it reinforces again the path that you're on, you move forward just a little bit. And so it doesn't mean that every class you're going to move forward, but it means that over a period of time, there's certain things that are discussed in class where it just hits the note perfectly for yourself. And you've been excellent at describing your own journey. You've been so giving in the way that you explain your process and your experience. And that for me helps tremendously. That you're looking for somebody not as a master, but as somebody that has the clarity to give you that understanding when you find that you have uncertainty about a specific thing. No, uh, but that comes with a caveat. The caveat is that I was dedicated to this right from the word go, and I think there was something that even on your website at the time you'd said, if you're not dedicated to this, don't do it. It's like, don't waste your time and my time and everything else. Um, it's if you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to try it for 2 days and see how it goes. Um, don't. It's it's not going to do anything for you. I think it's a case of take that 10 minutes every day and do something. And after 3 months of doing that, and it becomes a habit, and it becomes something that you're going to do every single day, not because you have to, but because you feel like you want to, then slowly things start shifting. And I think it's that where it's that dedication that you then go, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I feel it right throughout my whole being, is that this is the path that I'm on, and I'm on this path for myself, and I'm on this path for everybody else. And so it feels you feel like a bit of a warrior. The more you be, the more you embody the process of being at one. Um, I would say clarity comes with that. Clarity comes with it. It's also great fun. Even though, somebody said to me the other day, I think they made a mention about a lot of spiritual teachers spend years in caves on their own, and what's the fun in that? And it's funny how when you start meditating, well, when you start getting longer and longer into meditation, and you embody it more, the joy you get out of that time on your own, in yourself. And I think that's maybe a surprise. The practice is different because it has clarity in the steps that you take towards the let's say, for argument's sake, the goal that you're trying to achieve. So there is no goal, there is no target, there is no finishing line, but there's a stages of process that you're going to go through. And so the stages that you go through are let's say they're indicated in a way by which you can follow a specific road and you can shortcut a lot of time and effort. It allows you to move to a position of clarity um, very quickly and effectiveness, because your practice is an intimate thing with yourself, um, but you also want the knowledge inside you to be able to say, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm heading, and I know how to get there, and I know the next step when I get to the step that I'm at. And so I think that's nice, is the way this process is stepped out helps that person to guide them so that they can take the first step and know where they are against the rest of the steps. And they don't have 20 steps, they've got 4 steps. And so it's a lot easier to navigate, and you know where you are every single step of the time. So I think that on its own is worth its weight in gold. I would say that it was listening to a lot of different people on YouTube talking about spirituality, talking about self realization, talking about awakening, light workers. There, there's a lot. There's a lot that you find yourself getting involved in and listening to, and so and then for you to try to decipher what part or what paths you want to go on, that for me is incredibly difficult and very isolationist. It's important to get a broad view, and then once you have that broad view, decide on the path that you want to go on, because it's that path that you choose is the path that feels right to you. And so I guess the most complicated thing, or the most difficult, challenging thing for me, was finding the path that felt right to me. And that takes trust in yourself, in what's coming through you, um, and the feeling you get from the interaction that you're having with someone. So I did trust myself. I sort of listened to things, and the things that I heard that sounded true, I acted on, and I'm so glad I did. Roadblocks is where you find yourself feeling at one and then not at all, and you find yourself being able to uh, come into yourself and feel being, and then not at all. And it's something, and that not at all process can take weeks. And sometimes you feel really lost in that process, in that you feel like you're doing the right thing, you're practicing, you're meditating, you're putting time aside to it, you're dedicating yourself to it, and you feel, and the frustration is that you get to a point where you feel like, wow, I really have arrived. And then 2 weeks later, it feels like you can't connect with anything. So I think, yeah, that would be the big challenge. And interestingly so, is that even in our classes, all of the students have been through that. I think that's the challenge. That's the thing that becomes helpful, in that you are dealing with other people that are going through the same process. And so you don't get lost, if that makes sense. So yes, you can feel like you haven't connected, or that you're not as close as you were, but it's that sustainability that you find, and then that sustainability goes, right, okay. And it's funny, you solve those problems, um through healing, I would say. And you solve those problems, and then you move forward, and it's funny how you look back and go, wow, that was nothing. I could have got through that so easily. But yeah, I think that's how we grow, that's how we expand, that's how we master what we're doing.
And I think being part of the group, a group, such a group that's so dedicated and so focused and going in the same direction, and hearing somebody else's stories when they feel lost, you understand it's part of the process. So it makes it so much more easier for you to go through and accept
Mm,
that that's truly part of the process and it's fine. You can just move on and continue and keep at it. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's just simply at like the process. That's how it
mm,
unfolds.
mm. I think there's a misconception that I find is that when people talk about being, that all of a sudden they switch their minds off, and that they no longer have anything negative coming at them, or they no longer have, and that's wrong. It comes at you like a flood. However, when you when you learn to be with yourself and recognize yourself, you find that that becomes the waves on top of the sea. It's the absolute utopia of what it is that we try to achieve is just being and letting things happen and not reacting to everything around you. Choosing the things that mean something to you, and following joy.
Hmm.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It really is so enjoyable. It's very easy to attain this, and yet very difficult to maintain it. I don't know if I'm saying that the right way, but it's that maintenance is just as important as attaining it, and the attaining it isn't, um, like I said, there's no end goal, but just being is attaining it. I think that's maybe the simplicity of it, and if somebody realizes that and goes, "Wow, that's actually it," it is just being you, being relying on that, and then trusting that, and then believing in that, and just living with that. Um, but but then again, it's also guidance helps. It helps a lot. It helps a lot because there's a lot of things. I mean, like I said, you don't switch off what's happening. You don't switch off the chatter. What happens is the chatter changes over time because you choosing to engage with certain parts of it. So, um, but it never ever stops. And good things and bad things happen all the time, or thoughts, should I say, come and go, and all sorts of things. So that doesn't change. And I think maybe when I started the process on my own before joining the academy, that was kind of my. I mean, I spoke about challenges before, but I would say that was one of the big challenges is that you have these things that come up, and and so to calm them down, it was. Yeah, I think it's a relief. Being allows you to release the things that quite frankly don't serve you. Trust, trust. I have a belief that what I'm doing is right. Mm, very much so. I mean, when you start feeling into your heart and you start feeling the love that you hold and you start feeling the love you have for everything, and then you feel the connection that you have with everything. Um, No, I mean, when you go through hardships, of course, we go through life. We living our lives, and things happen. Um, that being said, though, I don't feel deviation from what I'm doing. Um, if anything, what I would say is something that was for me maybe the one most important thing was that I started this journey without crisis. Practicing before that happens allows you to manage those circumstances in a much more profound way, where the stress and anxiety and things like that that you would feel from those let's say experiences, they're not there anymore because you know that you are who you are. You know that you are infinity, and that gives you that freedom, that gives you that fire, that gives you that you no longer have the feeling that you can't do something. You can do anything. I'm talking about something that actually took a long time to understand, a long time to practice, a long time to
Embody.
navigate, and a long time to apply. So, mm, if somebody can understand that you get there just by being. Um, but you need to be, knowingly be, and live that. Stability, stability. It surprised me because I'd always been a passionate person. I'd always been somebody that followed dreams, and that 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 applied a lot of work to the things that I was doing. You start enjoying every day instead of enjoying some time in the future when you're going to get to where you want to be. Um, you already are where you want to be. You already everything. When you start accepting that and realizing that, um, it's life becomes enjoyable. Second guessing myself, not believing what I'm doing, thinking that what I'm doing is silly, um, uh, feeling like if I'm not doing loads of things, I can't achieve anything. Self-worth. Um, and I'm talking about maybe some of the things that you would feel, but for me, they were traps, and they were traps because they, not for long, but they derail your your process. They derail your process in a way that it takes you a while to come over them and then to slide back into the process that you want to follow. And so it's not to say that you never ever feel them again, but it's the challenge of facing those things head on. And so there's a lot that happens that we learn to appreciate about ourselves and love about ourselves that maybe I didn't love before. Those are the traps. For me, it was this connection, this holding onto the old beliefs of what spirituality was said to be, rather than what it's experienced to be. To be, yes, I would say that is, if I could wave a magic wand, I would let everybody feel that way. Because once you connect to there, a lot of the things that are around you that you think are so important, or that you think are holding you back, or squeezing you, or a lot of that disappears, and the baggage disappears with it. The four pillars gave me guidance, gave me clarity, and gave me the milestones along the journey that I could follow without deviation and without second guessing. And I think that for me is the crucial part, is that uh, it's a difficult trip that you're going on. It's a difficult journey that you go out on, and there's a lot of noise that will move you off course completely, and you don't need to be off course. You can stay the course, and knowing the path helps you to bring you back when you drift. So, because drifting for me was always automatic, it was something that happened, and so I wasn't upset with myself about it. I would drift and then come back, and so that coming back meant that but I also knew where I was going, and I also knew where the next post was. So it feels like you're on the right track, if that makes sense. It gives you the guidance and gives you the understanding that yes, you can drift and you can go to other places where you feel comfortable going. Um, but you can come back, and you also know where you are on the path. And I think that's the important part as well, is that it's like driving from, I don't know, I'm in Manchester, but driving from Manchester to London, if you didn't have a map, you could be all over the place. You could be heading north before you started heading south. So I think the four pillars are that direction. They give you that direction, where to go next, and when you come off, how to get back again. Yes, peace and how to be. How to be is I don't know how to put this in a more sort of important way or emphasized way, is that being is what you're striving to be. So being aware that you are consciousness is 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 the utopia. That that is the single most important thing on a spiritual journey. And so having that, knowing how to get it, knowing how to achieve it, knowing how to practice it, and then knowing that that practice will give you results. And all of those things together are part of the process of being able to go down a specific road and know that you're on the right path. And unconditionally loving of myself. It was very easy to do it for other people, but not so easy to do it for myself. And I think that for me was a big change, was embracing myself and knowing um, that I didn't need to be perfect. I needed to be just me. Consistency, consistency with the same people. Class has always been there. Every single week, you knew there was a call and you could be on that call, and it was a it becomes I don't know how to explain this, but it becomes that everybody becomes your family. And through that you find yourself looking forward to the class. You look forward to the class because you learn a lot in the class, and because you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about others, and you learn a lot about the process, and you reinforce a lot of the things that you believe, and you also uncover the things that maybe you felt were right but aren't right. And so it's that progression inside the class that allows me to have that real love for the people with me in the class, and appreciation for their experience. And the subject matter is broad, very broad, because there's a lot to cover, but it's also very much on point. And it so happens that with us, with our class, that we tend to move on to different subject matters in a time and space when we need them. And it's that it feels like a synchronicity in what we're doing, and in myself. So from from my own perspective, the classes give an accurate understanding as to where I am, and help me, guide me on where I'm going, and staying the course, and feeling that when I have moments of doubt, when I have moments of deviation, not staying on things, I can forgive myself. I can be less hard on myself, and I can also appreciate the effort that I'm taking, and that I'm staying the road, and I'm staying on the same path. Also, the structure of the class, because the structure of the class allows us to listen. It allows us to meditate. It allows us to just be together. Yeah, and it allows us to share. We share because sharing allows us to understand each other and understand our own process more. I would have to start by saying that for me, the spiritual journey has made me feel more comfortable in my own being. It's it's meant that a lot of things have changed with the way that I don't need to entertain myself anymore. I appreciate the things that I have around me. I appreciate the life that I have around me. I no longer need anything to feel fulfilled. I no longer need something from the outside to complete me or to make me feel um, whole or busy or entertained. Um, I I feel very, very comfortable in my own skin. So I think the hermit would maybe come up. Not that I'm a hermit, but I go out, I do the things that I love doing, but I also love spending time on my own. And I would say that's probably the single biggest change. And so being alone wasn't a pleasant experience. And so for me, that's the biggest change. My lifestyle has changed as a result of it. I'm much calmer with every single aspect of my life in dealing with challenging circumstances. You are more in charge than you could possibly believe, and that's where the practice comes in. You practice, you become more still. Um, I would even say that you become more radiant in the way that you express yourself, in the way that you live your life. I would say from where I was to where I am, oh, monstrous change, different change, and there's a markable difference between where I was and where I am now, and how I lead my life now. I feel clarity. I feel guided. I feel safe. I feel fearless. Um, yeah, and I no longer have well, I no longer suffer from things like anxiety where it can derail you completely. I don't have those things. Um, but that was one of my challenges that I overcame through the dedication. I would say that being is being joyful. Experience of being when you feel joyful, when you feel love, when you're living in love, you you appreciate everything around you more, and more of it comes to you. Um, I know that that might sound like a cliche as well, but um, I drive down the road and I look at things that have always been there, and yet I feel like they're just beautiful and that I'm seeing them for the first time. And whether that's the sun shining and touching the tops of the hills as you're driving past, or anything, anything. And I mean, I know I'm talking about something idyllic, but I'm doing that on purpose. There's a lot of other things that I see on a daily basis that I just am really grateful that they're occurring around my experience. Yes, yes. And that's something that you realize even when you talk, when you watch gurus, when you watch masters, when you watch people that I would consider to be um, living in presence, and you connect with them completely because you 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 understand their experience from their point of view. You living the experience that they're talking about, and there's a big difference. In fact, it's not a big difference. There's a chasm between wanting to do that and listening to them and having no clue about what they're actually talking about. You start understanding the programming that your mind goes through and the way that you think and the way that your thoughts arrive in, etc., and how you react to them, how you react to the circumstances around you, and um, and the fact that you don't need to. And I think that's the proof in the pudding. Once that lands, and you go, wow, I actually have control of this. And it's that for me is like, wow, that's super. That's super. And that's the joyful moment. That's the joyful, the pleasure of it is that you go, I have the power to have a feeling in my body that feels happy and excited and joyful all day long. Not not once in a day when I eat something that I shouldn't be eating or drink something that I shouldn't be drinking or whatever the case is, but having that feeling, carrying that feeling all the time. The simplicity, the simplicity of being able to be. And if anything, that's worth, if somebody is thinking about joining your course or joining the classes, that should be their motivator. Just learn how to be. Just if anything else, just take on board the steps, do the steps. The point is that I think that the exercise of being is invaluable. The exercise of being, the training of being, the ability to be is is a gift. Maybe a year, maybe a little bit longer to of practice to get to a point where you're going, it doesn't feel like practice anymore. I'm actually living the process. I'm not practicing the process. The class interactions, I think, because I think through the process of meditation at the start, before I joined the classes, when joining the classes, I was actually hmm, feeling quite happy in myself, and so I'd found my inner spirit, and I'd found my um, a happy space. However, I had no idea. I had no idea about the sharing that would take place within the classes. I had no idea about the things that I would learn within the classes, and there is no media that I've listened to, no talking that I've listened to that helps as much as it does inside the group environment, and so that for me is profound. Patience. If I'm sitting somewhere, if I'm in a queue, if I'm on the road and I'm in traffic, um, yeah, I don't struggle with patience at all. I actually, I'm quite happy to. I'm very happy to just be where I am. Funny how that would change, and what a strange thing to even reflect on. But yeah, I would say patience just it's no longer required. I feel comfortable when you have that, when you don't have that pressingness about being somewhere else while you're standing somewhere, how you see more. You look around you and you can appreciate stuff around you all the time. I no longer see separation, so I no longer see people dying as being the end of their lives. Um, and so it's not just something I see, it's something I feel and something I know. And so for me, well, at the end of the day, that would be the biggest challenge for everybody, is that they go through their lives, and a lot of the time they're aiming at a deadline, and that deadline is, when I go off this planet, what will I have achieved? What will I leave behind? What will people say about me? And I think it's that part that you can leave. I can remove myself from that, knowing that that being, that living in a being state on a day-to-day basis is more important than any of those things. In terms of walking the walk or walking this path, the thing that makes you succeed is choosing the right environment to be in. And practice, yeah, but the environment is the class. Once you've chosen something like a class to take part in, and you become familiar with that class, you become familiar with the teachings in that class. You um, you feel, especially when you get to know some of the people in the class, you feel that it's that the sharing that you get from them is not so much personal, it's more about the experience per se. And so it makes my experience more fulfilling. Every time I learn about a new step or a new process or something challenging that I couldn't figure out how to get through. And then somebody says something and you go, wow, that's so easy. And it's always easy. It's amazing how it's always easy. And it's something where, but it's only easy because somebody is willing to share that and willing to give you the communication. And then that allows you to to progress at pace instead of instead of getting lost for what could be years at a time. Tremendously, tremendously. I would say fundamentally, it's it would be impossible to be where I am right now if I didn't have the process that I've undertaken, and that is inside the class. So, it's if I was completely alone, I I won't be able to say. I mean, I don't know, but I probably would have strived on. But who knows how long I would have strived on for before getting to the same point. So, um, yeah, the road markers along the way from inside the class are super important. They have helped me become the person that I am now. It's a fresh look on an old subject matter. And so I think instead of trying to explain to people that they can follow a procedure and a process that's easy, that by doing something quick, they can achieve what they want to achieve, that's feeding an ego. And for me, that's the feeling that I had from a lot of other programs that were out there, is that they tend to give you a solution, and it's in a way it's the right solution, but the pathway to that solution is you're not going to get there. You will start out with the intention of getting there, but because there's no guidance during the process, you can't get to a destination that you feel satisfied with. Um, there's no structure. Maybe that's being a bit cruel, but because some programs there are good structures, but they're too short. They're too short. They don't have the intensity, individual intensity, individual in the sense of when I'm feeling like I'm stuck, can I say something and actually get something back that allows me to move forward? And in a smaller class environment, yes, you can. And in a program like ours, yes, you can. For me is beautiful and just an amazing experience. Yes. Yes, but I'm in the academy. So I'm saying yes because I'm in the academy. I feel confident about where I'm heading and what I'm doing. Um, However, I have no misconceptions that I'm not going to come up against challenges. And so yeah, for me, like I said, I feel like I'm on the journey. So and I'm not expecting a destination. I'm on the journey and I'm enjoying that process and that experience. And it's nice to be able to share with people that are on the same journey. The support, the loving community that we have, it's beautiful. It's lovely to be involved in, and um It's really empowering. Yes, yes, 100%. And that's as far as I need to go. It was it's worth its weight in gold. That you need to strive to get there. That you need to, I mean, we're talking about practice, and so yes, I suppose I'm talking in riddles there, but the practice isn't taxing. It doesn't require something from you that you don't already have. You already are what you want to be. And so I think for me that's the biggest misconception, is that you need to try to get somewhere. Is knowing without doubt that I am one with everything. That there's no shortcuts. For me, it's the fact that there's no bypassing. That you need to you need to dedicate yourself to it, because the more you dedicate to it, the more you will embrace it, the more you will apply it, and the habit forming process will have started. Listen to the things inside you that tell you what the truth is. If you really, really feel for the truth, I would say you will be guided towards the academy, because it's the simplicity in what we're talking about, in what we're discussing, and in what we're applying, that is something that everybody can attain. Everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, you can attain it. And because it's in you, it's part of you, it is you. Join the academy. You will not be disappointed. Um, it will enrich your life, it will enrich your process, it'll enrich your spiritual awakening.
Living Oneness is a deeply transformative group program designed to guide you from mental noise to embodied realization. Through structured guidance and weekly life goals, you'll ground your self-realization into the fabric of your daily life. This program is designed for those who are ready to live their realization, not just in theory, but as a direct, embodied experience. New groups are forming throughout the year, but we work only with 4 groups at once. If you miss out on this one, beginning April 29, you can join the next. Visit our page to check for the next date, or send us an email at connect@bastianelagloria.com with the subject line "Notify me." You will receive notification when we open up registration for the next group. Once enough people gather, a new group will go on this sacred journey together. All details are in the link below this video in the description box. If you're ready to move beyond seeking and live your realization, I'd love for you to join us. If you're not sure if this is for you, you can book a call. If you are, you can sign up directly. Just go to the page and you'll find both possibilities there. If you know all about it, you've read all about it, you've practiced for a long time now, everything that you knew would work or heard would work, but it's not happening for you, then this is your place. This is your group. This is where you will grasp it, you will understand it, you will embody it for real. This is where things are going to connect so that you can have a full, clear picture. And I'll see you on the other side.